What's up, guys? James here from Reflect the Screen, and I actually sat through a Melissa McCarthy movie. Now, while that sounds negative, I don't think that the film is actually all that bad. The movie is a much better Melissa McCarthy film than I expected, but we'll definitely get into that. Now, Life of the Party begins with Deanna, played by Melissa McCarthy. She's mother to Maddie, played by Molly Gordon. And, well, Molly's father, Dan, is acting a little antsy when dropping off their daughter to the sorority house at this university I really just can't even remember the name of. When Deanna and Dan get in the car, they're talking about their trip to Italy and how they're excited to go celebrate and see Europe and whatnot. And then Dan says, hey, I'm gonna divorce you. And she's very surprised. Deanna asks, what the heck's going on? Dan says, I'm dating the realtor and I filed to sell the house. Deanna's incredibly surprised. And, well, this kind of just makes Deanna homeless, so she has to go now live with her daughter Maddie at their sorority house.
I don't regret staying at home and being your mom, but I regret not getting my degree.
That's why somebody's mom just enrolled in college. I'm referring to myself. I'll see you around the quad.
Nobody says that, Mom.
Well, bring it back.
Yeah, it does quickly jolt you into the film, but the beginning of the film is outside of, the build up to the storyline is really rough. The jokes aren't hitting. Nothing's really landing. There's some funny moments where I'm chuckling, but I'm not feeling confident in what director Ben Falcone is presenting. Mind you, Falcone directed Tammy, and I'm not the biggest fan of Tammy. I actually feel like that movie is incredibly awful. So I thought, oh boy, remnants of Tammy, here we go. But luckily, the film did warm up a bit. I liked the in-between jokes. I really appreciated the set pieces that involve Melissa McCarthy being paddled. I guess this is a sorority initiation thingy. Oh boy. It was funny, and I laughed so hard. Now, what I thought was a little weird was the movie stepped on its jokes quite often, and I think that's a big downfall for the film. When the movie's making jokes, it's funny, I laugh, okay, let's move on. But no, it lingers, and then it stays, and then it repeats that joke. Then we continue going with it, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, Melissa McCarthy did co-write this with, director Ben Falcone, so I figure she's catering to her brand of humor. But it didn't really work all that often, and I really had trouble finding myself laughing at the recurring jokes. So if this film just stopped stepping on its own jokes, I think that it would have been easier, and I think the film would have been a lot shorter too. This film runs an hour and 45 minutes. It's a little long for a comedy, especially when the storyline is so basic. Just like back and forth with the same generic tropes I feel like I've seen in so many comedies before Life of the Party. But luckily, there are moments where I feel like Melissa McCarthy is really just riffing. She's just going off on her own. She's improvising. And I think that's when the film really flows at its best. Now, where I feel the film doesn't really flow very well is when we focus on the divorce settlement. I truthfully don't care that much about when the movie gets serious. Sure, there are jokes sprinkled in, and it's not very funny, and I think the film really hurts itself by focusing too much on the serious moments. There's something to be said about the supporting cast in this movie too, because Maya Rudolph is really kind of a gem in some moments, and she's responsible for a lot of the gut-busting moments. I do love Heidi Gardner's character, Lenore, who is the roommate of Melissa McCarthy's character, Deanna, in the movie. It really, she just brought a fresh approach to the film. The film didn't stop in its tracks, but it took a different turn. Gillian Jacobs, she's, what can you say about her that hasn't been said already? But she's really a very natural comedian in this movie, and I think that she does well. I mean, the lines are written for her pretty decently, and I think that she does great at delivering the jokes. Now, what disappointed me, because I'm just a Chris Parnell fan, is that they underused him, and I wish he wasn't relegated to dad jokes every scene. I figure, okay, look, I'm a sucker for dad jokes, but his character can be rendered more useful than what they're doing now, and I don't know, it felt like a throwaway character. It didn't need to be Chris Parnell, let's put it that way. Honestly, as we were getting closer to the end of the film, I was feeling kind of good about the movie. I felt, okay, it's got its bad spots, it's a little rough around the edges, but I feel this is better than anything I expected this movie to be. Oh, we're getting into the third act now, aren't we? Yeah, that was my exact reaction, because I felt we were stuck in that third act for so long. The movie didn't know how to end properly. And not only that, it chose to end on a very abrupt moment that just didn't breathe. It felt like, oh boy, please, I'm just trying to, the movie ended terribly. So basically what happened was the movie began horribly. The movie ended even horriblier. That's not a word. I don't know. They could have trimmed off some fat in this movie and it would have been much better. So yeah, Life of the Party is not a movie you go ahead and run to the theater for, and it's certainly a movie you think twice about renting if you're like me and you don't really like Melissa McCarthy's comedy too much. Look, she's just not always that funny. And in this movie, yeah, I was laughing way more than I expected to laugh, but the beginning and the end did nothing for me, and I think it really did ruin the movie. It weighed down the movie so much. So there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you spending some time with me as I spent time with this film. I'm looking forward to Deadpool 2 this week. That review's coming next week though. Better not get greedy. If you like this review, go ahead and give this video a like. Let me know what you think about this movie in the comments. And if you want to see more content, you can subscribe. There's a subscribe button. That should be on the screen right now. And if you want to see more content that doesn't make its way in front of the camera, go ahead to reflectthescreen.com, where I go ahead and post news and some reviews on the website. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you at the next screening.